Welcome everybody, how are you doing today? It's so very nice to have you here. And today I wanted to speak a little more about our upcoming 3-week intensive that begins on September 11th. Sahaja Sthiti, are you the doer? Removing obstacles to awakening. So there's one more aspect to understand that helps to understand this question of are you the doer? And that is what I call karma, destiny, and free will. And of course, this is a very complex subject. And the concern that I have when I speak about it is that it's easy to just take it into your understanding. And then consciously or not, we can use that understanding to judge ourselves or to judge our experience. And that is really not useful, and that is not how it's intended. So I want to caution you against that. And when I say karma destiny, I use these words interchangeably, karma destiny. So what's the simplest explanation of that? You know, the easiest explanation is cause and effect. So if you think about a very still lake, and if you throw a stone into a very still lake, there are going to be ripples. And these ripples are going to continue until it's over, right? So that's why so often I say whatever has been set in motion, it has to come to fruition. So we could say that everything that we are experiencing right now is the result of the past. Everything good that we are experiencing right now, everything difficult that we are experiencing right now. And if we really, really understand that, you know, without the judgment, right? So important, without the judgment, then we know that there's really nothing we can do about it anymore, meaning once the stone goes into the lake and the ripples begin, there's nothing you can do about that anymore, right? These ripples are going to continue until they are over. And so you can't go back, we can't change what has been set in motion. However, what we can do is we can be present to what is, we can understand this, that because this is the right understanding of karma and destiny, that because this is the result of the past, there's nothing we can do about that part anymore. The only part that we can do something about is, can I be present right now? And so if the general, understanding of karma and destiny is everything is predestined, everything has been set in motion already, we are experiencing the results of that, then the understanding of the free will is that if the sense of I arises, if you are experiencing yourself in a moment as the doer that has the choice or can do anything, then in that moment, the only free will that we have, free will, is that we can choose to be present. And that is so powerful, that is so powerful when we understand that. And we can just look at this experientially here in a moment when we understand that this is the only choice, so to speak, that we have. We can either be here now or be here some other time, right? That's all we can do. And the even more powerful thing about this is that that counteracts the past. The moment we are present, the moment we are really here, the moment you are at rest in our true nature, that is the end of karma destiny. that is the end of cause and effect. So as you see, this is a more complex subject, and so I want to invite you to join me in this program where we can really explore this more in depth and not just, stay on the level of understanding with that. But right now, just for a moment, experientially, because we so, believe that concept of free will, I am in charge, I can do whatever I want, I am doing whatever I want, which I always say, if you really were in charge, if we were really in charge, wouldn't we have our life go differently than it's going, right? If we were really in charge. So just a moment of practical, right now, as you are sitting here, just take a moment. Just notice whatever is present as you are sitting here right now. And ask yourself, and this is really not a question for your mind, but ask yourself deeply, right now in this moment. And I'm not asking about yesterday or tomorrow or a minute ago or a moment later, but right now in this moment. Could your experience be any different than it is? Good, beautiful. So I hope this gives you a little experiential sense of that deeper, underlying movement that powers everything, that sets everything in motion, but also a little deeper underlying sense of that cause and effect that just simply is at play already as well. I also want to ask you, if you are enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe and share. Comment. You have been commenting more. I really appreciate that. It makes this more visible for others. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing you in our program.